Hello guys and gals, my name is Phoenix Wright 845, and as you can see, I'm back in my old setup. I'm back at my dad's place. Anyway, and I had to go back to a lower quality. Apologies. Anyway, we're back. February 24th, 12:14 p.m., District Court, Courtroom number 9. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, one on the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know, you're a patrolman. A patrolman. Sorry, sometimes I correct myself. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. Say it out loud now! To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? Never had Edgeworth described that way before. Oh! Oh, I get it. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? This water soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can shut it up. Can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English. Even the judge is tired of this shit. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone merchant. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room was protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. I still have the right to cross-examine you. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. Well, you do remember what Gumshoe said earlier. Not everybody on the force knows they're there. He's not that good with machines or following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses. Sorry. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Day of the crime. Let's go. Still, I want them to do the cross thing. My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. The room's so still, even time dies in that. I was just a caretaker who interred the recordings. Interred? You interred them? Videos of nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I'd erase a tape, it felt like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but it isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you had a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know join the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. How does this guy avoid being fired? Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. Used to be a detective, so you've used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism? Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite, incredible. The sensors on the locker handles can't be seen. It's well known that some detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions it, Detective Gumshoe says something like that too. And anyway, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even angel steak lunches can be that palace Vangoli sepia pasta. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually what Edward says. Did you not want to raise this yet? Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner, or as you'd call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me to this crime, then you'd better draw. Otherwise, you're just wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting, carrying me back west into the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Penny your superior's note. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve, so let's keep it cool. Before I use it though, I better up the ante. I'm gonna review my evidence real quick. Oh yeah, I need to look at this. Serial murderer. Sentence, death. Perpetrator, Joda. Victims? Oh. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this. Oh. After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet, you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind the crime scene, behind the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. Objection! I don't wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what's the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene. The blood was wiped away. However, Luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall, it seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on their shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall? About the blood-stained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime. Blood-stained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. The murderer touched mark where my fingerprint was by chance. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. Or didn't you know the murderer was wearing gloves? See? I had nothing to do with it. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something, I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Okay, I'm gonna press every bit of information I can get out. That's because, how did you put it, pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine. What? What do you mean? I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my prints went all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's program. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine, it's no mystery. Please explain. My locker is covered with my fingerprints. Just so happened... The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could argue just the opposite. The chances of that not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me with a mere fingerprint. You wanna know why? Unrelated. They're different as night and day. Kinda like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, while the other's a type of murder. He's right, although seemingly like they're totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. That's what the... Or didn't you know the medal was wearing gloves? Wait, how did you know this? How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. Though the bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint. Oh yeah, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves, having to place their hands on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This sea of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. Security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. Let's do it then. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully where you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. What do you mean by that? You want timing to this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, that video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape.
Objection!
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. I believe I know where to go with this. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might end up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. Okay.
I didn't realize it would make such a clever.
I don't care.
What? What? Go back to
Hello, Meekins. Oh, son of a bitch. Hold on. Oh shit, my phone scared me. Okay, I believe this is to be it.
Take that!
That was correct, yes. Bringing your attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll soon not forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's perfect. You can clearly be seen in this video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in the sound locker shown in the video. That blocker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit. Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What's the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Man, are we lucky he screwed up. Order! Order! It would seem that we only hold your horses. Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? It doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everybody staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just plain dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call your bluff. You say I opened that locker, now prove it. Fingerprint sensor? We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. So what kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe didn't mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people on the force that don't know about the fingerprint locks. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! Got him. I don't think he's gonna let her. Order, order, order. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you, this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime? Olay, please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can? Oh boy. Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right, the only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? Okay, if the killer is being Meekins, then it'd have to be...
Take that!
Officer Marshall was standing right here. Oh, the music kind of faked me out a bit. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman.
Objection!
But that's preposterous. Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure.
Objection!
May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman? He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When I entered the evidence room, I asked him to show his card, sir. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on me. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed it. Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall? Officer. You've got quite an imagination. You've got quite an imagination, partner. You've got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have had evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for you, but you don't seem to be. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence showing beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. Ah, this can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? Miles? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics. For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the box. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came about because he was in disguise. Why do you think this locker was open in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later, as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, He opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all of our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video is my only shot. Oh shit. Very well, let's take another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open the locker. I don't know, I need to go figure this out. Something I was thinking of was blood on... Oh, I almost hit P. Something I was thinking of was the blood on his shoulder there. One. I was thinking that, but... Oh, the fact that the thing was open? This is my best guess. Yes, I looked up a guide. Give me a second. Hold on. One more. There we go.
Take that!
Yeah, I was thinking about the blood on his shoulder, but I didn't know if it was correct, so I looked up a guide to see what it was. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that. Oh! Shit. Should have figured that. So you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Now then, Officer Marshall. Are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent, if you're only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now, would we? Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. Alright. It seems the time has come. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out, and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. So the supposed victim was really you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. No one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. My guess is he's the donor. It was way too much blood for such a small donation. I don't know, maybe he was murdered in that earlier. Am I still good? When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was gonna completely end with the transfer that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When a case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. In charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? We've read the case file, right? That day was my last chance. That's why I... Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transfer, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lopsided report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. Oh! So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened gets stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. Nothing else. You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off. Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins suddenly is a 1 in a million type of person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID. I'll have to think a little more about his race this year. There it is. When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out, and I managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on the camera. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all had gone planned, no footage would have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig would have been up. I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So, what you're saying is, on that day... But the blood found at the scene suddenly indicates that a crime took place. What are you, blind? The victim shown on that tape is me, and I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker. Actually, no, I didn't. Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. What? Mr. Edgeworth, where's that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. The Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone else stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Right to remain silent. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID? Injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. It can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. And I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dack was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't intend to complain about how it turned out. But there's one thing that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think his real reason is. I had a feeling he would wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. I'd better take another look at the files. Oof.
Objection!
Elsa Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, Padme. I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. The list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall. Yeah. I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago. He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right, he was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's his relation to you? He was my brother. Oof. I kind of feel bad for this guy. Well, of course I do. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then deputy chief of police. The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. That was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least, according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it. You can't fool me. Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Chance? It's got to be more than just that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office's parking lot was a real one, which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky.
Objection!
But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Objection!
Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. It seems to me this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All the mysteries at the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Starr is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. I rest my case. I don't know what to do. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security cameras tape was really fake, but I didn't realize that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant Your Honor. Wait. Emma. The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright? Are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor. All I'm asking for is a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out that SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing, the other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So, I ran over there and looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. Huh? Sorry. I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. And I'm just an attorney. But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them... Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I need to concentrate, it's now. What could be wrong with that handprint and the Gumshoe's offer? Could there be something that I'm missing? We need to figure out who this is. Civil jar.
Objection!
His handprint left at the crime scene. clearly shows a contradiction. What is it? The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Missing? You mean something that hasn't been drawn on there? Yes, something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood map. Oh. Let us play the defensive and simply try to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. Oh shit, I'm saving! Saving! With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove something is missing in the floor plans? No. No. A piece is missing.
Take that!
What? As they say back west, even a blind man can hit with buckshot. That is, so long as he's facing the general direction. Seems Mr. Wright's not so sure. Just calm down, Mr. Wright. So I was wrong, at least it didn't penalize me. A security camera placed in the entrance.
Take that!
What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Get on with it! Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger is not here. Yeah, that's what I thought, but I figured I might as well check my bases. And no, I'm not just covering my ass, that's actually what I thought. Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The Blue Badger... The Blue Badger is not here. So? So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right, so long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker. What? So it was the blue badger. So that means, just what exactly does that mean? It means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces were undeniably found in our locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, when did you get back here? Think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger into the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would have been impossible to leave a handprint on that locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in? Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. One time was captured on tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, which left a trivial amount of blood, fell. The problem is the other time. Should have figured. At the very least, I didn't get penalized. Shut up. My phone went off. Someone bled prior to the struggle shown on the tape. It had to have been. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered.
Objection!
That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claims.
Objection!
The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
Objection!
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well. Tell us. Then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edwards said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place? Has to be. I can't think of anything else.
Take that!
Now's not the time, game! If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh! The ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the blue badger panel into the evidence room at let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. After I busted my ass to save him, why would I accuse Edgeworth again? Get Miles Edgeworth. Just what have you done? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. 777777. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777777. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, one too many. That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I was unable to look up the owner of that ID card. I'm unable to, at least at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 777 belongs to someone with a rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
Objection!
But that's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There's one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against the executive is accepted. An official charge. You are all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. With Llama?
Objection!
Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. It's not 777-7777. Don't blame me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is about that one incident, I'm guessing? The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, we occasionally felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana. I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me in investigating that crime in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, you didn't. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to, in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence, see? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Oh, that's a nice little detail. Order! 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 Nice little detail. You can see her. She always holds her bandaged hand behind her back. Miles remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The trial would have to wait until the following day. Oof. Right then, I don't have time to properly continue this. Well, that's never a good sign. Okay, look, if you want to see what it actually said, go either play the game yourself or just watch another Let's Play. They're many better than mine. Anyway, that's all for this video on Phoenix Wright. I am done for the day. Anyway, if you feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. Tensler 845 signing out. Goodbye.